For more information on tutoring, personalized video solutions, or how to support Moof University and the production of more videos, check out moofuniversity.com. Thank you and enjoy. In the previous video, we talked about, or at least we mentioned, glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids, and in this video, I'm going to define them and talk about them a little bit. So when I think of glucogenic amino acids, I think about how their carbon skeleton can be used to make glucose via gluconeogenesis. So specifically when it comes to the glucogenic amino acids, they are the amino acids that give rise directly to the following key products: alpha ketoglutarate, succinyl-CoA, fumarate, oxaloacetate, and pyruvate. Okay? And why is that? That's because the carbons of these intermediates can end up in oxaloacetate, right? Especially this one. That is oxaloacetate. And the reason why that's important is because oxaloacetate is an intermediate of gluconeogenesis. Okay, so if the carbons can end up in oxaloacetate, that means they can end up in glucose. Okay, now notice that that's 5 of the 6 key products. It's all of them except acetyl-CoA. Okay, and that brings me to ketogenic amino acids. So when I think of ketogenic amino acids, I think about how their carbon skeleton can be used to make ketone bodies via ketogenesis. So the ketogenic amino acids are the amino acids whose carbon skeleton gives rise directly to acetyl-CoA. And why is that? Well, because the acetyl-CoA carbons, they'll either end up oxidized as carbon dioxide, or they'll end up in those ketone bodies. They don't end up in oxaloacetate. They can't. Okay. So now the question is, now that we know what glucogenic and ketogenic are, which amino acids are which, and is there any overlap? Okay, so let's check out this chart below. Okay, so there are 13 exclusively glucogenic amino acids. There are 2 amino acids that are exclusively ketogenic, and then there are 5 that are both glucogenic and ketogenic. The ones that are exclusively glucogenic, because there's 13 of them, they're harder to memorize, so I'm just going to show you them. Okay, we got glycine, alanine, valine, methionine, proline, histidine, arginine, asparagine, aspartate, glutamine, glutamate, serine, and cysteine. Those are the 13. Now, they're exclusively glucogenic because the key product that they give rise to, they can only give rise to one of those 5 that I mentioned before. All of them, any key product other than acetyl-CoA. So glycine gives rise to pyruvate, alanine to pyruvate, valine gives rise to, valine. Valine gives rise to succinyl-CoA. Methionine gives rise to succinyl-CoA. Proline, alpha-ketoglutarate, histidine, alpha-ketoglutarate, arginine, alpha-ketoglutarate, asparagine, oxaloacetate, aspartate, oxaloacetate, glutamine, alpha-ketoglutarate, glutamate, alpha-ketoglutarate, serine, pyruvate, and serine, also pyruvate. None of those are acetyl-CoAs. None of these amino acids give rise directly to acetyl-CoA. Okay, so they are exclusively glucogenic. Now, there are 2 that are exclusively ketogenic, and they are specifically leucine and lysine. They only give rise directly to acetyl-CoA. Okay, so it's hard to memorize 13 things, or at least harder to memorize 13 things than it is to memorize 2. So with the ketogenic, the exclusively ketogenic amino acids, there's only 2 of them, and they both start with L, and those are the only 2 amino acids that start with the letter L. And so I think LL, and that makes me think of LL Cool J, who was this hip hop artist that some of you may know, some of you might not know. Anyway, when I think of LL Cool J, I think of, okay, ketogenic, there's a K in there. How about LL Cool K, where the K just stands for ketogenic? So that's how I remember leucine and lysine being the exclusively ketogenic amino acids. Okay, now there are some that are both glucogenic and ketogenic. There's 5 of them. They are phenylalanine, isoleucine, threonine, tryptophan, and tyrosine. Okay. Now they are both glucogenic and ketogenic because they all can give rise to acetyl-CoA as well as to at least one of the other 5 key products. So phenylalanine gives rise to fumarate in addition to acetyl-CoA. Isoleucine gives rise to succinyl-CoA in addition to acetyl-CoA. And then threonine to pyruvate and succinyl-CoA in addition to acetyl-CoA. Tryptophan to pyruvate as well as acetyl-CoA. And tyrosine to fumarate as well as to acetyl-CoA. So, keeping it with the whole one-letter situation like we did over here with the LL. Here we can also think about it like that because there are only 3 amino acids that start with the letter T. So all the T's are here. Okay. There's only one that starts with I, so that's that one. Isoleucine. And then there's this P here, phenylalanine. So some people do just remember it as PITTT. So PIT. I don't like that though, because phenylalanine starts with a P, but so does proline. So some people can get that confused. So what I do instead is just use the 1-letter code for phenylalanine, which is F. And so that is FIT. So you can use either one, obviously, it's your choice, but I totally prefer this because that P gets confusing. Okay, but either one works. The point is to know which ones are which. And this is kind of important to keep this in mind, right? Which ones are glucogenic, which ones are ketogenic, and which ones are both. Okay. So when we look at this, just to kind of visualize it in terms of the big picture, we can see that the ones that are glucogenic are in pink, the ones that are both are blue, and the ones that are, or light pink is a glucogenic, because there's also this pink. Anyway, light pink, glucogenic, the orange, ketogenic, and then blues for both. So what you'll notice is that leucine and lysine, they're exclusively ketogenic. They only show up here. They give rise directly to acetyl-CoA, and they don't show up anywhere else in these boxes. Now, with the glucogenic ones, it's not just the exclusively glucogenic ones. So notice that the ones here, phenylalanine, isoleucine, and the 3 T's, they show up there as well as giving rise to acetyl-CoA as well as to somewhere else in these other pink boxes. So notice that phenylalanine is here as well as here, right? So it's ketogenic up here, glucogenic here. We've got isoleucine here. We've also got it here. So it's, again, ketogenic as well as glucogenic. We've got threonine here and here and somewhere over here. Yep, right there. Okay, so it's, again, glucogenic and ketogenic. And then we've got tryptophan over here and here. And we've also got tyrosine there and there. And so that these are the ones that are both show up giving rise to acetyl-CoA as well as to some other intermediate. Whereas the glucogenic ones, the exclusively glucogenic ones, they only give rise to the one intermediate. So like, for instance, alanine only gives rise to pyruvate. Same thing with cysteine and glycine. They only give rise to pyruvate there. Okay. So that's kind of what's going on with glucogenic versus ketogenic amino acids. And you should probably keep that in mind as we go through the actual pathways of the oxidation of the carbon skeletons in the following videos. Anyway, I hope that video was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you found that video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with friends. Thank you and happy studying.